I'm Sam, co-founder of Dagger. Most of my time I'm managing the engineering team at Dagger. And whenever I can to allocate some time to code, I try to help on some things that are blocking some users. And lately we had a lot of questions on how to use GPUs, in particular NVIDIA GPUs with Dagger. And not a lot of people know that Dagger actually has support for GPUs. It's currently poorly documented. We know that, and we're working on it. So you can expect some movement there soon. But I wanted to take the opportunity to show a quick demo, a live demo on how to use an actual GPU from a Dagger pipeline. So let's start with the problem we're trying to solve. In general, GPUs are expensive, and the problem is even with containers, they cannot be shared easily. Meaning when you allocate a GPU from a container, you basically mount the device, you rely on specific hardware, and it's very challenging to make it ephemeral, like you do with anything else with containers. And you're usually stuck with a piece of hardware that costs a lot of money, and that sometimes you need only for a small amount of time, not like hours or days. And so what I wanted to explore is a way to use a GPU from a Dagger pipeline only when you need to, right? So digging into the solutions. So on one side, you have my local machine on the left with a bunch of things. It's very simplified Dagger pipeline, linting code, running unit tests. And then maybe at some point I want to call an LLM. I want to do something. So in this case, I picked Ollama because it's a very simple way to demo, relying on an LLM and doing some inference, simple inference. But obviously, a real use case would be a bit more complex. And so that's what I'm going to show. But then on the other side, what's interesting is you have FlyIO that supports GPU, very easy to spin up a container, very simple to run Dagger on it. And you can also run, obviously, Ollama inside Dagger. So what I'm going to show is basically how you can run this Ollama run right there at the bottom on and export it to FlyIO with the GPU attached. And I will show you a way. I will call that in the demo right now from my local machine. But what's important is I want to keep that secure, and so I'm talking to the Dagger engine from a VPN. So FlyIO supports private networking. It's a normal VPN using WireGuard actually. But anyway, and if you have questions, so I'll show you the live demo. If you have questions, let me know. So I will jump to the code. So here I have, I will share the code. It's all on GitHub right now. But the idea is I have a couple of functions. So here I'm running that locally on my machine. I did previously a simple Ollama run locally, so it's running in CPU on my machine. I'm using a prompt by default. I think I asked what color is the grass, something like that. But it's an argument with a default value that I can change. But here I'm interested actually to run that remotely. So you probably saw that there is a deploy Dagger on the fly. So let's call that and see what it does. So what I'm gonna do here is spin up a Dagger engine remotely on FlyIO and configure that instance to have access to a GPU. I actually picked a couple of things that can be changed in the code easily, but here I'm picking an NVIDIA GPU L4ES, something very light, very cheap also. But technically, I could do the same thing with an H100 and etc. So this would work the same. The idea was just to show that Ollama has access to an actual GPU. So let's see what happens. It's deploying the machine, waiting on FlyIO to deploy it. And soon it should give me a result. So that result is actually an environment variable that I will copy paste, that I will export. What it does is I'm telling the Dagger client locally to talk to the remote Dagger engine that runs on Fly.io. It's an internal IP, so if you're trying to replicate that yourself, you won't have access to that machine. It's totally secure because I'm connected up there on the Fly.io VPN on my Fly.io org. So here now on that new machines, when I do a function, so the first one will be a bit slower because it's actually exporting my local context to the remote Dagger engine. Because actually the nice thing I wanted here was to still keep my local environment and keep working on my Dagger pipeline and do calls that are actually executed remotely. So that's why it's taking a bit longer at first, and then the second calls will be faster because everything will be cached. Looking at so here we are. So the functions here and all the Dagger commands that I will run from now will actually be executed remotely on Fly with the GPU. So let's try an Ollama run again. Well, let's give another prompt because I don't know. What color is the sky? Maybe I don't know. I'm I'm not very creative for that kind of stuff. While it's doing it, I'm opening the graph on Dagger Cloud just to follow what's going on. So I have access to. I should be able to see roughly the same view on my terminal and my the browser. So here it will execute the whole thing. So I will show you the code right after. But the idea, what I'm interested about here is the Ollama serve that will execute in a bit. And I'm interested to see what Ollama sees on the machine, if it sees the GPU or not. Actually, it should not for the first run, and I'll tell you why. And it's actually okay because we are caching a bunch of things also, including the cache from Ollama itself. Because by default, my code is actually using an image Ollama with CPU, which basically pulls the Ollama image from the hub. And I have an option use GPU that I will use right after that actually swaps the regular image and enables the support for GPUs. So I will compare both execution and see what happens. So here it's pulling the model, putting that in the cache. And the interesting thing about what's happening here is the cache here will be persisted. So I put that in a cache volume on Dagger. And so next time I call the model, I won't have to repull the model again. So let's jump to I should see the result of the exec.
And for this is a beautiful UI, Sam. But for people who may be joining who aren't so familiar with Dagger, what is this?
Yeah, absolutely. So, sorry about that. So it's I should have explained. So it's showing Dagger Cloud and in particular the new V3 version that's actually much faster and much also has more features. So here, for instance, I'm showing you. So Dagger engine can optionally. I saw Patrick actually was using it as well in the last demo, but the Dagger engine can export telemetry to Dagger Cloud, and in order to show the whole graph of the DAG. So the idea is here I can see all of my local traces up. So the run that I just did, even though I did it from my local machine, I can see it on Dagger Cloud. And here I see the whole DAG. So the whole thing I see from the code in Go here. Right there, I can actually see the representation on right there on Dagger Cloud, and I can navigate the DAG. So here, what I'm interested about is I executed an Ollama server and a client, and I'm interested to see if Ollama saw any GPU. And here I can see that no GPU were discovered, and that's normal because I'm using the normal Ollama version. So by default, it's running in CPU. But now I'm going to rerun that again. and show you what happens when. Sorry, swap moving to another. I will pass the option use GPU. And so it will run the same thing again, but it will just rebuild the base image before running it. To show you what happens also if you're not familiar with a Dagger pipeline, I'm running two containers here. I'm running a server and a client. Actually, let me just open Dagger Cloud on the side. So yeah, here, sorry, I'm switching between, because a lot of things is happening right now, but what I was interested about was to see the Ollama pool. So the grabbing the model weights is not happening again because it's being taken from the cache. But the part that I wanted to show you is the server is running as a service. So I'm running the server, mounting the cache, running Ollama serve in a container, and then using a client, bind the service to the host name Ollama internally. So there is a private IP with a DNS name just accessible to that container right there because I'm doing the service binding, and instructing Ollama to connect to that host. And then I can run Ollama command here. And my prompt, etc. I could be running several other things. And then I return the results of the prompt on std out. So it seems to be a pretty simple pipeline, but there are actually two containers talking to each other and being synchronized to make sure that the client will talk to the server only when the server is ready, etc. And then once the client finished doing its job, the server is being brought down and I get the result back. So all of that was executed remotely. And the part that I'm interested about, right before I was showing to you what's the result, what's the log of the Ollama server, and I'm going to look at it again just to see the difference from the previous run. So it's loading a bunch of logs right there. Okay, I see the call from the prompt at the bottom, but what I'm interested about is what's happening right there, looking for compatible GPU, and look at that. Here I see Ollama actually discovered the L40S, the NVIDIA L40S that I exposed, that I have accessible on the Fly.io instance. So I can do proper inference with Ollama and something else. And so basically the prompt was executed, was called by the model on the GPU instance this time, processed by the GPU. And going back to, well, I showed you the code. Yeah, one actually thing I wanted to show you also is I don't want to pay for that GPU anymore because I'm done, you know. So I will just grab the name of the Fly.io app, and what I can do is I can just simply destroy that instance when I'm done. And so I'm doing it now. And as soon as this completes, I'm not paying for GPU anymore. I just released the resource. So I can do my work. I can do my deploy the instance, work on my Dagger pipeline, and bring it down at the end. It's taking a bit some time. I deploy the app. Should complete soon, I guess. Should anyway. Going back to the slide at the end, I just wanted to say a few more things. The next step is to remove the manual switch. So basically what I'd like to do next with this demo, you can look at the code on GitHub already and see if it can be useful for you. It's a basic example that you can reuse to actually rely on NVIDIA GPUs for anything you want to do from Dagger. The part that I'd like to explore next is how to export Dagger node directly from a live pipeline, meaning I have a pipeline that runs my linter, that runs my unit test, and at some point I have one single step or a few steps that need a GPU that then can be exported remotely and go back to the rest of the graph. So that way I can run my CI pipeline and not rely on a GPU for everything, just for the thing I need. So I'll be exploring that in another demo. If you have feedback or things you would like to see as well, let me know. And also, last but not least, I wanted to say a big thank you to Gerard Lazu for the Dagger module. He gave a couple of demos in the past during this call, and there is this module on the Daggerverse you can reuse for having a remote Dagger engine on Fly.io, and also you can configure it so you ask for a GPU as well and a particular model. And also big thank you to Rajat Jindal, who helped debugging the GPU support. We had some issues to make it working properly initially, and so yeah, just wanted to give credit to both of them. And that's it. Thank you for listening.